This is the fourth episode in a four-part series about impact films, with filmmakers creating projects to bring awareness to a specific need or cause. Stories have the power to educate, inspire, and create change. Listen to hear stories and strategies from filmmakers who are making a difference with their films.
This is the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast, helping filmmakers who share a Christian worldview stay in touch, informed, and inspired. Quiet on set. Rolling. Today's host is Geoffrey Whitt.
Hey there, welcome to the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast. I'm Jeff, and today I've got Aaron Schwartzbart with me. Aaron is an award-winning rocket scientist with degrees in physics and theology. Aaron Schwartzbart is a five-time champion race car driver and an ordained minister. As seen on CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, countless talk shows, crime drama Vindication, and in movies with Dean Cain, Kevin Sorbo, Larry Wilcox, and Rodney Allen Rippey, Schwartzbart has garnered dozens of laurels for this component of his ministry. Founded in 2001, Motor Gospel Ministries works in partnership with the LAPD to address community issues such as gangs, drugs, and illegal street racing. Welcome, Aaron.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you, sir.
I think I could safely say this is the first time we've had a rocket scientist on the podcast.
You'd be surprised how often I get that.
Interesting story there. We're going to hear some of your backstory in just a second. This episode is part of a short series on awareness films. And we're going to talk about Aaron's film, Driving Fast, Saving Lives, since 2001. But first of all, Aaron, let's talk about your background and how you came to do what you do.
Executive summary, I came out of the womb hardwired to turn into a Charles Manson or a Ted Bundy anytime I got a steering wheel in my hands. I can say along with Lady Gaga, I was born that way. I wasn't abused. I wasn't seduced into having a dark side. I was born with the dark side. I went that way, doing what came naturally to me for about 30 years. And then much to everybody's astonishment, I got born again at about the age of 30, about half my life ago. And I've been using my pathological tendencies with the steering wheel to do good in the community instead of being a problem for about the last 3 years.
Okay, so all of this dark side you're talking about has to do with driving. Tell us about that.
That was a major feature of it. My daily commute as a gainfully employed, tax-paying rocket scientist, highly educated, arrogant, atheistic Jew. I'm a Jew by blood, although a Christian by faith. Living proof that education and sanity are not necessarily the same thing. My daily commute in a space program was 90 miles an hour on 35 mile an hour surface street, rush hour traffic on surface streets, 90 weaving in and out of cars, ball of road rage, sometimes driving drunk with loaded guns in the car and completely unrepentant about it. I would slow down to 60 if I had to turn left in an intersection with crosswalk with pedestrians and stuff. And I'd be right back up to 90. And I did that every morning, every night, 5 days a week. That wasn't even street racing. That was commuting for me. And I never ended up killing anybody or killing myself. I never ended up going to jail. I had some relatively unique skills, but I was nowhere near as good of a driver as I thought I was. In retrospect, it's pretty clear that God was up there with a heavenly hockey stick, keeping me as a puck guided toward the goal, despite my worst intentions.
And did you say that change was 3 years ago?
Approximately 30. I'm 62 now. It was at about the age of 30.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So about half my life, I was zealous for Satan with the steering wheel. And about half my life, I've been zealous for Jesus with the steering wheel.
And so you took that and you're using it for good.
Yes. This is sort of an important part of this. I would hope this is important to people. It's important to me, and I think it's important to God. Important to note that this was not a carefully chosen strategy on my part. When I got born again, I thought I was done with racing.
Right.
In the 60s, we had a saying, if it feels good, do it. Now, as a Christian in church, churchianity, people say if it feels good, it must be a ministry. It must be from God. Many, many things feel good that are not from God.
Right.
We need to bring ourselves into submission with what would delight him, not just what hedonistically feels good to us. So, no, this wasn't part of a careful strategy on my part, as much as it's flattering that people think that this was the result of careful planning on my part. It was not careful planning. When I got born again, I thought I was done with the racing because I thought that it was too pleasing to my flesh. It was too visceral, and it was It was so much of what I was born to do, but not necessarily what God wanted me to do. Not every tendency with which we're born or about which we're passionate is put there by God.
Yeah.
Most men, if they're honest about it, out of 8 billion, 8 with a B, 8 billion people on the planet, there is more than one woman to whom they might be capable of being aroused. Maybe even both genders for some. And yet that's not God's intention. God's intention is for us to commit to a wife of our youth and to do that till death do us part, no matter what comes. So, that's a silly, obvious example where the tendencies with which we're born are not necessarily the things that are most pleasing to God.
Yeah.
So I thought I was done with the racing, with the kid stuff about which I was so passionate. It took God about 8 or 10 years to convince me, in response to my earnest prayer, Lord, how can I bleed for you? Send me to a jungle where they don't have flush toilets to eat grub worms off of rocks and stuff. I want to suffer for you. I accurately and appropriately rebelled against hedonism when I got saved. But what I didn't expect was that God's answer to my sincere, earnest prayer, how can I bleed for you, Lord? His answer was, go drive really fast in my lane, wind chant, do the very thing that you came out hardwired to do. I couldn't believe he was that magnanimous.
So your bio says you're a 5-time champion race car driver. Was that after your salvation experience?
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. That's all
Okay.
legitimate racing at racetracks throughout the Western United States.
Okay, cool. So tell us about, we're going to get into your filmmaking in just a minute. Tell us about Motor Gospel Ministries. What is it and what does it involve?
Right. I compete in the John 3:16 car throughout the Western United States. I am a driving instructor at racetracks throughout the Western United States. I teach after-school auto shop to at-risk youth. I do hospital visitation and grief counseling whenever drivers are hurt or killed. And I operate an anti-street racing campaign for the Los Angeles Police Department.
And this anti-street racing campaign,
that has many components to it. Angel Rodriguez was twice arrested for street racing, and the court sentenced him to community service in Motor Gospel Ministries program, where he, under court order, came to be humiliated by us motorsports professionals at 150 to 200 miles an hour and to race legally against his arresting officer at Irwindale Drag Strip in one of the co-branded race cars that Motor Gospel Ministries provides to the LAPD at neither cost to the taxpayers nor the PD. The arresting officer was in a co-branded race car branded with LAPD and Motor Gospel, racing against Angel, the perpetrator, legally with the cameras rolling. He ended up becoming the darling of the news media, the LAPD and LA City. He was a wonderful poster child. So that's one type of thing that's involved with the anti-street racing campaign. Other components are the awareness piece is huge. Michelle Littlefield and 3 of her friends were coming up the 5 freeway in the city of Commerce here in Southern California. And they were good kids, a few weeks away from high school graduation, headed to college. They weren't drinking or partying, street racing, doing nothing except coming back from a day at Disneyland. And an 18-wheeler fell out of the sky and landed on their car. 3 kids were killed on the spot. One kid, the last I heard, is still in a coma today, years later. The man driving the 18-wheeler was a veteran UPS driver, 15 years of experience in his place of work, minding his own business, doing the speed limit in the appropriate lane, and he burned to death. His cab was so wadded up they couldn't extricate him. He died a horribly slow, unspeakably painful death, burning in his truck. All that misery was caused by a guy who thought he was a race car driver, accidentally bumping into the 18-wheeler. The kid in the fast car was doing 120 or 140 miles an hour and did a pit maneuver on the 18-wheeler and launched it up a K-rail, launched it into the sky, and it landed on top of these kids in the oncoming lane. As if that isn't horrific enough, all of that misery and the consequences thereof, including the perpetrator having to live with this for the rest of his days, as if that wasn't horrific enough, that happened within 30 minutes of the nearest legal racetrack. If that kid had gone 30 minutes out of his way to do his racing at the track, those people would still be alive today. That veteran UPS driver would be walking his kid down the aisle. So this is good news and bad news. We don't necessarily need to spend hundreds of millions of dollars building new tracks when that kid caused all that heartache within 30 minutes of the nearest legal racetrack. That's where we come in. That suggests that awareness is huge. Awareness is virtually free. You don't need a $10 million facility to just teach somebody, here's the right place to race. Here's the right way to race. And so awareness can save lives.
I'm betting that that's where your filmmaking comes in. Is that
Yes.
how your filmmaking started? Totally related to this awareness?
Yes, for the most part, it's actually a wonderful story that we could spend 8 hours on this that we don't have. But the executive summary, and then you can drill down on anything on which you want more detail. God told me to take the gospel to Hollywood many, many years ago. I was neither an actor nor an aspiring actor. I had no connections. I knew nothing about Hollywood, but I trusted God. I called up either Dave Cristiano or Rich Cristiano. It was one of the Cristiano brothers, cold called. And much to my surprise, he picked up his own phone and said hello. And he spent 45 minutes on the phone with me, kind of explaining to me the roles and the responsibilities and how you get involved and stuff. I will never, if I live to be 300 years old, I'll never forget the kindness that he showed this unknown, cold calling him, clueless kid that knew nothing. It's a lesson for us all to remember where we came from, where we started. And that sort of launched me on a journey of flirting with Hollywood and making anti-street racing PSAs, 30-second PSAs, very crude stuff, not feature-length movies and such.
When we put together the meetups, we wanted to be very strategic with the approach, thinking about the obstacles. Where are those things that would actually make the greatest impact?
I just wanted to say thank you, Jacqueline. You guys having everything so organized. I went on the website last week. I was able to sign up. All the instructions worked. Everything was seamless. And I have not had an experience where it's been this seamless ever. Also, I've already met some amazing people on this. And I love the format. You teach us a little bit, and then we go into a separate group with just a few people. It takes away some of the anxiety if anybody has anxiety about speaking in a large group. And also, I've gotten to really know people beyond just that's your name and your face. And some people I knew already, which is also great because there's so many people here from the industry that just have amazing experience in all areas. I've met writers, I've met actors, I've met producers. Today, I was with somebody in a room who actually does editing, and that was such a great perspective.
Join us on Thursday mornings for our FAF Association meetings. We've got networking opportunities, masterminds, and more. Find the schedule on our homepage at faffassociation.com or find the link in our show notes.
This is a beautiful part of the story. About 20 years ago-ish, a man named Neil Newman, who was an editor at the time, he had aspirations of doing everything, not just the editing. And he bought a camera and didn't know what to do with it. And we had a race car in the facility and all that. So he was excited to come out and shoot the race car with his new camera, getting his feet wet for free, since he really had no name for himself as a full-service filmmaker. And we made a couple of little PSAs together in a music video and stuff. 20 years later, we've grown up together. He's hugely successful in his sphere, and we've had dozens of laurels together, dozens of laurels that wouldn't have happened if we never met, dozens of laurels that might not have happened if I were doing this on my own, and might not have happened if he had not met me.
And it probably wouldn't have happened if you'd paired up with an experienced, successful person who would have done whatever project that was, and that might have been the last time you'd ever connected with them.
Right.
Sometimes, for many people in this industry, that gets them where they are is by joining together with other people who are, moving up together and lift each other.
Yes. It's a beautiful story of that yet another thing that was not the result of careful planning on my part, The Grateful Dead, they came from kind of different angles, came together as a bunch of misfits, and they created a genre. They're like the only band in the genre, debatably. That's sort of the story of Neil and me. Yeah. Neil is not a believer, by the way. Pray for Neil. He would make a great Christian. Mm-hmm. If our program has saved any lives, we have him to thank for it. And he surely has seen the impact of this ministry, even though he's not of our faith. And he's been very supportive.
So let's talk about driving fast, saving lives. I think it was a short. The short came first, I'm assuming?
Right, yeah. So we made bunches of shorts over the course of 20 years, ranging from 30-second PSAs to 7-minute docu-shorts and things like that, Neil and I together. And whenever I would take these beautiful, he's really brilliant at what he does, both with the camera and with the editing and stuff. And he's a very patient man. I'm a very spontaneous, ditzy creative. I believe that rock and roll, and this is a metaphor, and it's literal because I'm also a musician, but in this case, metaphorically, rock and roll, if it's too organized, it's not rock and roll. If it's too quiet and too well-ordered, there's a certain element of spontaneity and edginess and chaos that that are required for it to be rock and roll, sort of by definition, even though these are admittedly very subjective terms. Musicology is a very imprecise science. But in that context, Neil has worked with a extremely zany, passionate, ditzy creative, that's me, who never has this stuff planned out, never has a script, and says, hey, film this, And in the course of doing that, we go to an anti-street racing summit at the police station organized by Motor Gospel Ministries, inviting street racers and cops and survivors that have lost loved ones, that were innocent bystanders and stuff. And at just the right moment, he has the camera there when a grieving aunt stands up and says, if you people would go bleeping instead of bleeping and go to the track with this bleeping guy, I mean, my niece would still be alive and stuff. You can't script stuff like that.
Right.
And it's not contrived reality television. It's real.
Yeah.
So in that context, I made 30-second to couple-minute docu-shorts and offered them around, trying to get them on television and stuff with some pretty good success. I've been all over news media and stuff. But every time we would go to television producers about actually showing something as more than just a PSA or something, they would say, gorgeous, gorgeous work. This dude is really inspired. Neil, my partner, is really inspired. Yeah. But we don't have a place for a 7-minute and 43-second docu-short. You need to package this in a context, in a time frame and stuff that works for us. And the result of that packaging was taking our 20 years worth of docu-shorts and PSAs and such, and having Isaac Hernandez and Dean Cain compile it for us. I mean, Isaac was both editor and host in Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001. So, but with various roles and responsibilities, we compiled 20 years worth of little materials, including Neil buying newer and better cameras and things like that. So there isn't even coherence necessarily amongst the technology that was used, because Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001 is a compilation of bits. I mean, it's been 20 years in the making. So Isaac Hernandez and Dean Cain put that together with a little blue ribbon on top in a 58-minute, 30-second package that the television folks and others can now do something with.
Cool. And so when was that made?
We released it Christmas of 2023.
Okay. So just a short time ago.
Yeah.
In relation to your whole time doing this ministry. What outlets, what distribution, what opportunities has it had to be seen?
Yeah. So our first up at bat was the wonderful Barry Alsobrook of Tubi TV, who you probably know. Barry gave us kind of our break, and he was the first one to show it. He premiered it. We had a big watch party at the police station here with the LAPD, and people all over the world tuned in and stuff on Tubi TV. And it's been showing on Tubi TV since December of 2023, both on demand and by special event and things like that. Barry has several different modes of operation, as you may be aware. So you can watch something on demand, but then there's also like Christian movie night or live streaming or whatever, where Barry chooses and curates a handful of his on-demand shows and puts them together to make a Friday night worth of entertainment where the family doesn't actually have to take the time clicking and pointing and clicking and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's been showing there that way since December of 2023. It got monetized on Tubi TV approximately a year ago. I don't remember exactly when, but it's monetized on Tubi TV as of about a year ago, wherein it's free to the viewer to watch. And yet for every view, the 501c3 anti-street racing campaign that Motor Gospel Ministries operates gets a fraction of a penny. So it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful opportunity. Fraction of a penny isn't much, but obviously we want to get more viewers watching it. But it's a beautiful opportunity for people that might be wondering, what can I do? I'm not a race car driver. I'm not a volunteer with the Los Angeles Police Department. I'm not an attorney or a judge. What can I do to help save lives that would otherwise be lost to illegal street racing? Well, you can watch this movie for free on Tubi TV. And merely by watching the movie, you're supporting the ministry financially, because the advertisers give a fraction of a penny to our 501c3 anti-street racing campaign. 100% of the proceeds go to the campaign. My ministry is an unpaid labor of love. I was a rocket scientist for 40 years. I still do some consulting occasionally in my semi-retired state. So I don't take a penny from the ministry. 100% of the proceeds go to the charitable work. So merely by watching Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001 on Tubi TV, your viewers can help save lives. It's also monetized on something called Stash TV. Stash TV is a YouTube channel that aggregates films such as mine and shows them for free to the viewer. But again, the 501c3 gets a fraction of a penny for every view on Stash TV.
Take your media mountain with Content Christian Media Conference. Join hundreds of filmmakers, actors, screenwriters, podcasters, and authors on September 22nd to 26th at the 40-acre Christian Film Studio, Capernaum Studios in Poolville, Texas. New this year, hands-on training in acting, writing, cinematography, editing, AI, VFX, and more. Grow in your craft with over 45 workshops. Also new this year, a full-day networking event specifically designed to help you make meaningful connections, grow your community, and build your team. Christian Media Conference has a 5-star rating. Go to christianmediaconference.com and discover the long list of world-class speakers, workshops, boot camps, and more. That's christianmediaconference.com. Are there any direct opportunities? I know that part of your ministry is awareness with these drivers who are driving unsafely. How have you had opportunities to use your shorts or your PSAs or the film with regards to any direct connection with these people?
Right. Multiple ways. We post the shorts and the PSAs and such on various sort of underground Facebook channels and YouTube places and things like that are frequented by the illegal street racers. And hopefully that gets their attention to some extent. Pretty much every major television network has featured our work and featured our success stories. They don't just interview the old man who's saying don't street race. They're interviewing the young kids that are former street racers, and the kids themselves, without my putting any words in their mouth, are saying, man, you can't imagine how much better it is to go 150 at California Speedway legally than it is, running from the cops in the streets. This is great. So the product sells itself, but unfortunately we're getting one kid for every million that, or at least 1,000, I don't know how many, would really benefit from our type of rehabilitation. The awareness has been successful in terms of being on CBS, ABC, NBC, Sky News, all that good stuff, being all over social media. And on the other hand, we barely scratched the surface of the impact that we could have if more people watch the movie and or more people simply tell people. We have a tab on the motorgospel.org website that says where to race. And the places to race. So even if the viewers don't have 58 minutes and 30 seconds to watch the movie, if the viewers can tell their neighbors, tell their friends, tell their kids, tell whomever it is they have sporadic opportunity for interaction with. Oh, by the way, people who want to surf big waves, they go to Hawaii. People who want to snow ski, they want to ski at the best snow, they go to Vail, Colorado. If you want to race, here are the 600 legal racetracks nationwide. Go to one of them.
Yeah.
If you're serious about your motorsports, spend the 3 hours to get to the track. If you don't live within 30 minutes of a track, you won't be sorry you did. That is a message that everybody can give at no cost. And it's an honest message. There's nothing exaggerated about it.
So directing people to your website. And watching the film.
Yes.
Documentary.
Yes.
I guess is the correct word. It's a documentary film. Do you have any specific links? I know you've kind of referred to them already, but let's just say them loud and clear here so everyone can know where to go looking and to help out your ministry.
Yes. So my website is motorgospel.org. That's motorgospel.org, motorgospel.org. And on that website, you'll see various tabs, one for the documentary, one for my book, Street Racing 101, Why Motorsports Belongs at the Track. The book is for sale on that link, $7.99 for it's a little stocking stuffer. It's not War and Peace. It's a 100-page stocking stuffer, 3x5 little book written at a comprehension level that I hope is accessible to 13-year-old children. So any adult could read the whole book in 20 minutes. The point of the book is not so much to entertain or be fascinating. It's a polemic, shooting down every excuse that anybody has ever used for why they should engage in illegal, dangerous motorsports and pointing them to the track. So I think it should be required reading for school teachers, counselors, pastors, adults, cops, emergency medical technicians, first responders, everybody who has opportunity for sporadic interaction with teenagers. And sometimes that's like fishing. You can't necessarily, it's not digging post holes. It's sitting by the shore, waiting for the moment when the fish is biting. Sometimes you don't know when that moment is going to come, and you have a conversation with a kid where you can say, do you realize Aaron Schwartzbart, when he was a hoodlum, he invested $12,000 in a street rod. This is 1980 dollars, so $12,000 was kind of a lot back then. He invested $12,000 in a street rod, and then he bought his first real NASCAR racer for $1,200. These kids don't know that you can be racing legally for a fraction of the cost of what they're wasting on illegal, dangerous motorsports. That kind of stuff is in my book, Street Racing 101, Why Motorsports Belongs at the Track, for sale on motorgospel.org.
And once again, we can watch your film.
Oh, yes. Sorry. Right. Tubi TV. If you go to Tubi TV and search on Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001, you'll find it. Or search on Dean Cain movies or Rodney Allen Rippey movies or Aaron Schwartzbart movies. But probably just the title, Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001 is the easiest. Stash TV. If you Google Stash TV and Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001, you'll find it on Stash TV. Stash TV is a YouTube channel, so you can also go on YouTube and search on Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001 on YouTube, and you'll find it on Stash TV or Taken TV, takentv.com, and search on Driving Fast and Saving Lives since 2001.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate you sharing with us today. There's two sides to this. We're hearing about your cause and hopefully passing on information that will be helpful to you and to your ministry. But we're also watching and we're hearing and observing how you've taken a cause and how you've taken film and your calling and how they all work together. Our audience is filmmakers, and there are certainly many others who have causes that they want to create films for. And so I really appreciate you sharing today. Is there anything else you would like to share as a closing remark before we go?
With the plethora of opportunity for legal motorsports throughout the United States, there is no good excuse for illegal street racing.
There we have it. Thank you so much, Aaron.
And thank you for the potential lives that you will be saving by virtue of the exposure you're giving to our program.
Thanks for listening to the Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast. If you've been enjoying this podcast, take a moment to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to support the production of this podcast, you can leave a tip at faffpodcast.com/support. Bringing filmmakers together for faith and family.